So it's my pleasure to first introduce Dr. Pete Dresbeck, who serves as the director of the Kentucky FFA Leadership Training Center. Even though he's been with the Kentucky FFA LTC for 25 years, he is constantly working to improve programming and facilities. Pete, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, but also we'd really like to hear about this ropes course you built 2 years ago. Why did you build that?
Very good. I am Pete Dresbeck. A little bit about my background. I was born on the edge of the Sahara Desert and raised in West Africa. And as you can well imagine, that influences my worldview and why I am where I am, and why I'm doing what I'm doing, and why I've chosen to do what I do. Been to Ghana? Very good. I taught high school agriculture for a number of years in Georgia. I've also worked at the university level in teacher education. But I have been at the Kentucky FFA Leadership Training Center for the last 27 years, or I'm in my 27th year.
I'm sorry.
And in reference to the ropes course that you mentioned there, that's just a minor thing. The most important thing that we do at the Leadership Training Center is what we do with the curricula in youth leadership development. That's what's important. And we do a wonderful job in individual leadership development, and I could spend the rest of the afternoon talking about that. But in terms of the ropes course, one of the areas that we felt like we were lacking was in group dynamics. And so fortunately, one of our commodity organizations stepped up and said, yes, we will help you with that. So we do have a ropes challenge course, and our purpose there, again, is focused back on leadership. We're not just going out there to have a good time. We're focused on leadership development and how do we build that community, that group dynamics. And again, that's where the ropes course fits into that program.
Thank you very much.
Now, I am pleased to introduce to you Kia Boyd, who is an extension educator with Michigan State University. She enjoys being able to see the positive impact that mentoring has on the life of youth participants. Kia, would you please tell us why you enjoy that so much?
Sure. I think I am a natural advocate and giver to others. I heard a lot of you mention that too, that 4-H and Future Farmers is about giving back. So I plant my thoughts and my efforts about giving back to the community with the mentoring program that I work with. A lot of individuals are familiar with 4-H due to agriculture, but we all also are familiar with the evolution and the revolution of 4-H in urban settings. So I am an educator in a 4-H mentoring program where I coordinate mentoring services for young people, and unfortunately they may not be all the young people that are in this room. They are the young people that have challenges in their lives, that need additional role models and caring adults to assist them in being able to accomplish their goals. And I definitely live my life and my career as an advocate for those young people and providing them with opportunities that they may not necessarily have within their family life. So the mentors give them more support and hope in being able to accomplish goals and developing leadership skills within the program.
It's now my privilege to introduce Bill Jimerson. He's devoted a lifetime to agricultural education and the FFA, starting in the early 1970s as an ag-ed teacher for 25 years, and then transitioning to the state level, where he served as the state FFA advisor in Montana for the past 7 years. Bill's most notable community work has been with Montana's Native American population. Bill, will you tell us about your work, especially encouraging Native American students to engage with FFA?
Yes, thank you, Brenda. You have no idea what kind of an honor it is for me to be here today and represent FFA and a little bit of what I have done in my life towards that end, because I've had a wonderful career, or 2 careers, getting to the point where I have. I appreciate the students' comments, because that's my passion, has always been young people. But I think we need to, if you think back just briefly into our history, you can think of the Smith-Lever Act of 1914 and the Smith-Hughes Act of 1917, what got America started on this idea that, you know, if we put leadership skills in our young people and put those skills in their hands to take and become successful, rather than a weapon, we're probably going to be the greatest country on earth. And I think we can all agree that that has happened. The country's, I don't believe there is an FFI for Iraq, although we do have a FFA, so maybe Afghanistan could learn from us too. I was proud of the National FFA 2 or 3 years ago at the National Convention when the Minister of Education of Iraq was at that convention, just to get an idea of maybe where they've gone wrong in the past, but maybe where they can go in the future. And so that's what I like about 4-H. I was a 4-H member back in my young days. Transferred then to FFA. My high school ag teacher gave me, inspired me to be an ag teacher, and so I've lived the dream. I have absolutely been able to hopefully encourage and inspire young people myself. But just very briefly, 7 years ago when I started being the state FFA advisor, the state officers in the room know what I'm talking about. We do a lot of traveling together. We happened to be on one of our reservations in Montana, and my state officer would not even roll down the window to ask a Native American man who was dressed similar to what I am today directions to their high school because he was afraid of them. And this was in Montana 7 years ago. And I thought at that time we need a program to not only remove some of the biases that we have, but allow our Native American students to be successful in FFA because they had not been active in some of the most of the contests and things. And so I am very proud of that program after 7 years, and we made it a competition. They brought their presentations to our state convention. We made it sort of like a CDE, a career development event for them, and sent our winning team to the National FFA convention. They didn't have anything to compete in, but they did do their presentations, sometimes just in the halls, and the Native American chapters that got involved in Montana, just amazing to see the development of those young people who now felt they were a part of our organization. And so that's been my passion, and I could talk a little longer about it, but that's probably what I need to do. But I have been passionate about what I have done, and it's worked out pretty well, so thank you.
You know, Bill, I happened to be at that FFA convention last year when Native Americans were so prominently on the program, and it was just such a heartwarming and important conference where we brought the nations together with our folks from across the country. It was really a beautiful event, so congratulations for all of your leadership in preparing FFA for that event.
Thank you.
Now it is my honor to introduce Andrea Keir, who works with the University of Maryland Extension Service as a 4-H educator in Baltimore City. In addition to being a 4-H educator in Baltimore City, she is also a volunteer with the Southern High School Agriculture Sciences Program and FFA chapter. So, Ms. Neer, it looks like you're very busy, so tell us how you do all of this.
Well, I'm a lifelong 4-H and FFA member. I actually grew up in Frederick County, Maryland, and you know, these are my people right here, everyone who's involved with 4-H and FFA. And I'm recently married to Joshua Rice, and he is the high school agriculture teacher at Southern High School. So I'm kind of 4-H during the day, and in the evening, I put on my FFA hat once again. And with Baltimore City, I grew up not too far from Baltimore City and actually did a semester at UMBC there studying graphic design, and I thought, you know, this is a city that doesn't have a large agricultural presence, obviously. So now being involved in 4-H and going in, I work with clubs that focus around STEM education. So I'm teaching robotics, and we just got a grant to do aquaponically grown 4-H clubs. And these are clubs, we're giving them money, funding their project. They're going to research different aquaculture systems and aquaponics. They're going to build it themselves. They're probably going to end up raising tilapia because that's just the fish of choice. And eventually they're going to sell their produce at a farmer's market and earn more money to sustain the project. So that's kind of the big thing. We also do an expo, and this is our take on a county fair. Now, Baltimore City, there's Baltimore County, Maryland, and Baltimore City, Maryland. They're two different things. So we don't really get a county fair, but you can imagine the 4-H Arts and Crafts project building at your own county fair. That's basically what we do. We bring in students from all over the city. We'll see 500 students in a day. And they come in, they'll do performances. We have speakers, skill-a-thon stations. So they really get to show what they know at our county fair, not necessarily showing an animal like you probably do at yours. So it's just been a very enlightening experience getting to be involved in agriculture in a totally different way from what I experienced growing up. And I'm very thankful to be back in the state of Maryland, working with University of Maryland Extension, and working with the youth that are definitely the future of our agriculture systems, but also our leadership in this world.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, I was to introduce a third honoree, Jessica McAckme, and unfortunately there were electrical problems with Amtrak this morning. She was coming from Pennsylvania, from Philadelphia, and couldn't be here. So I'm going to ask you to indulge me and allow me to read her full bio so that we can really honor and respect all the work that she's done in Philadelphia. Jessica is currently an agricultural teacher at W.B. Saul High School of Agricultural Sciences in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Jessica's leadership skills developed within her class as an environmental science and agroecology teacher. Within Jessica's agricultural class, ecology class, she's led a school science, she has led a school-wide recycling program. Her students educate fellow peers and school faculty on the importance of recycling and collect all the recyclables in the classrooms weekly. With her ingenious way of informing city kids on how to recycle, she certainly has gained the respect from the staff and students as they excel in learning environmental conservation practices. In addition to Jessica's leadership abilities in school, she has helped develop the largest urban public school community supported agricultural program in Philadelphia. Henry Got Crops is the name of her CSA, which was erected by students and local cooperative organizations to provide quality fresh vegetables by using urban farming practices. Students, as well as people in the community, are able to learn skills on how to effectively raise vegetable crops for sale. The CSA has allowed students to appreciate methods of agriculture when dealing with crop management, as well as learning the importance of healthy eating. The future goal of Henry Got Crops is to produce enough vegetables that will be used for the lunches at Saul High School. Jessica envisions that Saul High School will one day be a complete model of a sustainable facility in a major urban community. I hope you'll all join me in saying congratulations to Jessica, and we miss you and hope you'll have another opportunity to come to the White House and be honored as a White House champion of change.
It is my pleasure to introduce to you Dr. Samuel G. Robertson from Texas. Dr. Robertson is a 4-H specialist with the Cooperative Extension Program at Prairie View A&M University. He made a career shift to pursue his passion so he could do full-time what he did as a volunteer for 21 years. Dr. Robertson, tell us what you've been doing.
Well, I bring you all greetings from Texas. Howdy.
Howdy, howdy.
That's a warm Texas A&M greeting, and which I'm a graduate. Yeah.
Whoop.
I am too. I am currently a program specialist at Prairie View A&M University Cooperative Extension Program, where in my role as a program specialist, I provide programming and research and evaluation support to our 4-H program that's out there attempting to make impacts with the youth in our community. Prior to going back to graduate school, I worked in the insurance business for a large insurance company. And while I worked for them, I spent 21 years in the community. I began as a youth sports coach. And as I was coaching youth sports, it was always a mission of mine to teach life skills through sports. And I guess I did a well enough job that the mayor at the time in Fairfield, California, sought me out and asked if I would get more civically involved. And I was challenged. I told him that I was not a politician. That was not what I did. And he said, well, Sam, how much time do you spend with young people, or how many young people are you impacting in sports? Maybe 12 on your basketball team, 30 or 40 on your football team. And I said, well, yeah. He said, well, why do you do it? I said, well, I enjoy impacting youth and making a difference. He says, well, if I give you a platform to impact thousands, why wouldn't you do it? And basically, it cut me, and I couldn't walk away from that, and I accepted the challenge and became a community services commissioner, got more greatly involved in my community, not just in impacting youth, but all facets of the community, whether it was the homeless community, the cultural arts community. And I just learned that it was my passion to make a difference in the lives of other people. I heard someone talk about that earlier, I think you, Ms. Hobbs. And so I decided to make a career shift and pursue my doctoral degree in youth development. And so I'm excited to be a part of the 4-H program. Like some of you have mentioned before, I'm someone who grew up in an urban area where my only knowledge of 4-H was through a commute where I heard some rural smells of cow pastures and I heard about animals. And so one of the greatest finds or learnings in my studies in youth development is the fantastic things that 4-H youth development programs have been doing for years. I think it's one of America's maybe greatest secrets. I think it's a story that needs to be told. It's a program that needs to be emphasized more in urban communities because there's a tremendous amount of holistic approach to youth development that's taking place. And I'm excited to be a part of the 1890 land grant institution system where we're trying to affect youth in the area of science and healthy living, leadership, life skills, and citizenship. And we specifically have a mission to try to target those families from limited resource families and minority youth, although our programs are available for all youth. So I'm very honored to be here today, and I thank you for the opportunity to be a part of this passion of work and the passion of what all these youth do here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So let me just thank again our honorees for your passion, for your commitment and your dedication. And we're going to switch now and also ask you some questions, and the questions are for whoever would like to answer them. But organizations like FFA and 4-H really play a critical role in the education and preparation of our young people to be productive and engaged citizens, workers, entrepreneurs, scientists, teachers, and agricultural producers. One of the critical issues, though, we face in education, both formal and non-formal, is the recruitment, retention, and support of teachers and youth development professionals. From your experiences, please share with the group, why did you choose your profession, and what continues to motivate and inspire you to work with young people, so when you all retire, we'll have a cadre of same professional and dedicated and passionate colleagues behind you. Who would like to start?
I would like to start.
That would be wonderful.
Thank you. As I mentioned, when I began my career, and even prior to beginning my career, I always wanted to give back. I always wanted to show people that I care and that there are adults out there that care about young people. So that's what motivates me. And as I mentioned, I am an educator, an extension educator for a 4-H mentoring program. And to see the progression of the young people that I work with that come from limited resources. Their circumstances may be challenging at home. They may come from a single parent home or low income. And to see them participate in 4-H activities and 4-H programming and curriculum, and to progress through the years, because as with clubs, they stay in the program throughout middle school and throughout high school, and to see their success and the skills that they gain is a tremendous reward. To see the young people that may not have even graduated from high school. This past year, we had 8 graduates within the program that all went on to higher education, whether at a university or community college, and that was huge. So that was a great reward, and that's what motivates me to continue to do what I do.
Thank you. Yes, please.
Certainly.
Pete.
There's actually 2 parts to that question. One is what brought you into it, and again,
That's right.
you've already figured that out. Having grown up in the third world and seeing extreme poverty, extreme hunger, I don't remember a time in my life when that wasn't important to me. And again, my father was a doctor, my mom was a nurse, but my interest was in the food production and seeing the malnutrition that was happening around. I was there during the Biafran War. You have to be have quite a bit of gray hair to even remember that. So again, that is what got me into this thing. And once I came to the States, I discovered this fantastic thing called FFA that put agriculture and youth development. And again, the youth development comes there because these are my peers. These are the kids I was playing with. It was their language I was using that got me into it. And that's how I got into it. But what keeps me in this thing is watching these students year after year as they come in as a freshman, in my case, or a middle schooler, coming into the Leadership Training Center and watching them develop and walk out the other side. Now I have some that are ag teachers. I have some that are in the legislature. I can call at least 5 on the legislatures now. Every year around election time, I call them up and try to figure out how they got elected, just to harass them. That not only our Commissioner of Agriculture in Kentucky is not only one of the products of our program, he also worked for me.
That's great.
And it's very easy to talk to him, but watching the kid that came in that wouldn't get up and give a speech, who was very backward and saying, okay, this kid's not going to make it, but let's pull it out of him, and then watch it. That what keeps me in this thing. It's just amazing.
I can try. Of course, when I was in high school, it was a pretty turbulent time back in the 60s. We had some very ominous things that happened to our leaders at that time. We had the Vietnam War going on, and I decided as a junior in high school, and I was like one of the shy little country boys that went to a one-room school, and didn't have a classmate till I went to high school. But for some reason, I had a mentor who was my ag teacher that I mentioned before. That he didn't really encourage me to follow in his footsteps, but in 4 years of FFA, man, I got to go to I got 3 trips in 4 years. You know, we went to state convention twice, the national convention once, and to livestock judging once. And I thought that's a pretty cool deal. So I decided as a junior in high school to be a teacher, and of course, as most of us know, you don't become a teacher to get rich in your life with money, but you do get rich in so many other ways. And I think that's the story we need to make sure that these young people understand is, why are you here? It's probably because of an influence in your school, and it's probably because of a 4-H leader or a FFA advisor, and we desperately need more of you to consider being the next generation of teachers and leaders to do the same to the generation that follows you. So I have absolutely no regrets. In fact, I always say, if I could hit that rewind button, don't go back too far, but I would do it all over again, because I have loved what the program offers. So.
I would, if I could, I would share that my experience has been, and I'll share why I followed my passion. But my experience has been growing up that quite often that this business is relational. It's a relation-based business that we work with youth, and that as those who work with youth, there's a need to have those that have a genuine concern for the well-being of our youth. We suggest that our youth are the future, probably our most valued asset, and so it's my opinion that the caretakers or the mentors or the supporters of our youth should be compensated like they are the caretakers of our most valued assets. And so better compensation and finding ways to certainly elevate and show respect for our teachers and educators and the work that they do for our youth is important as we look to recruit and retain the best and the brightest, like these young people that are in front of us, if we want to attract them to a career of working with youth.
Thank you, Sue.
Well, I know that when I was in college, my initial plan was to someday work for the National FFA organization. And my advisor said, if you're going to work for National FFA, you need to teach high school agriculture. So I went through, I did my student teaching, and decided being in the classroom every day is probably not for me. But it takes a very special person to put up with all of you. So I really think that if we can train our pre-service teachers better in understanding high schoolers, and we think, okay, they're college kids, they're not far out of high school, but I'm only 5-6 years out of high school, and I feel that kids are so different now than they were when I was still in high school. So I think better training for our pre-service teachers will lengthen the amount of time that they're in our system as agriculture educators. And as far as 4-H agents go, you know, I think it's one of the best careers you could ever have, working in 4-H and being around clubs, establishing clubs, and I think the hardest aspect of that job is to gain volunteers. So if we can get people to pretty much donate their personal time into investing into our program and our youth, that's going to make the 4-H educator's job less hard and a lot more enjoyable. And we'll see 4-H educators sticking around there too.
Can I just ask how many in our audience would like, the students would like to be 4-H mentors, agents, or FFA educators? One. Good, good. Raise them high, raise them high. Good, we need you. Excellent. That's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. I was glad to see all those hands go up. As effective leaders and mentors and educators, especially the ones we see here today, you have great influence on educating, inspiring, and motivating youth. With organizations now addressing diversity and inclusion, can you tell me what you are doing to make sure that your programs and activities are open to all youth and they have access and opportunities to succeed in the programs that you are offering?
Go ahead.
I can tell you what we've done from our perspective. At the Kentucky FFA Leadership Training, what we have tried to put that diversity in our leadership at the Leadership Training Center. For example, those that are teaching the classes, our summer employees, we have tried our best to get some diversity in that, and so that way they are seeing diversity, and by seeing diversity, then, oh, I can do that, is what we're hoping to happen.
Very good.
One of the things that we do, our communications director, Ms. Gloria Mosby, is charged with ensuring that as we market our programs, that we send out a communique making sure that it's announced that we are an equal opportunity program, that if there are any participants that have special needs or adaptations, to call us in advance, and we try to make accommodations to make sure that our programs are available to all that wish to participate. We're beginning to put a number of our programs in the state of Texas. We have a high Hispanic population, and we're beginning to put a number of our programs advertised in both English and Spanish. And we also make interpreters available when necessary. Many of our evaluations now are also becoming more dual language to make our programs more inclusive as we outreach in the state of Texas.
Very good. Anyone else?
Well, Baltimore City, a lot of our youth are African American, and we're trying to incorporate a more diverse group, including Caucasians, Asians, and Hispanic descendants. And we're able to do that by going into the schools and really trying to recruit students into our community clubs that are from different areas and different schools throughout the community.
Yeah, I could just add that ag communications or communications of all kinds is kind of what gets the word out about what all these students achieve and other students. You got to get the word out to all students that these programs are available, and the more we can do to do that, I think would increase the chance of being able to keep our programs going forward. America got it right to begin with, and we continue to work hard to keep it right. So,
Very good. Kia?
As Mr. Robinson mentioned, at Michigan State University Extension, we do a lot of things to ensure that we are equal opportunity employers, that we are inclusive in the programming that we do. But my program is a little bit unique, and we have to ensure that we include diversity in incorporating the youth that are in clubs. So in other situations, it's probably reverse, where the club community is the majority and urban programming is the minority. So within Michigan State University Extension, within Wayne and Macomb counties, it is kind of the opposite. So we work to ensure that there are partnerships in place between the urban programming and also the club-based programming, so that we are doing programming across the board and able to offer 4-H curriculum to all of our participants.
Thank you for that.
So I think you've seen, we've been pleased that Jessica finally made it here from Philadelphia. That shows great perseverance. Welcome. Jessica, I read your bio, but why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself in your own words and talk about the work that you're doing in Philadelphia. It just sounds like you've been doing some making some extraordinary gains and efforts. So tell us a little bit about your work, and then we'll get you into the Q&A phase.
Okay, I'm Jessica McIntamany. I'm the AP Environmental Science teacher there, and also the urban gardening teacher and co-advisor with Ms. Tarantine and about 15 other agricultural teachers at W.B. Saul High School in Philadelphia. We're the largest Pennsylvania chapter, and we're doing a lot of neat things leadership-wise for kids at the school. I'm involved mainly with founding and helping supporting and facilitating a community-supported agricultural project that links Weaver's Way Cooperative, which is a cooperative in Philadelphia, with Paramount Park and the school, and we provide vegetables that kids help produce to about 140 members. And we do some recycling and some really cool environmental things at our school.
You're being very modest. We were talking a little bit about your Henry Got Crops initiative.
A student named it. We're on Henry Avenue, so.
That sounds great. But we asked a couple of questions to our other panelists, and I'll just ask you to talk a little bit about, from your experience, how can we encourage and motivate young people to become educators, and why did you, in fact, go into this field, and what can you share? There were quite a few hands that went up in the audience of folks who want to become educators or 4-H mentors and agents, and so tell us a little bit about why you became an educator and what you would say to these students to encourage them to go into the field.
I studied environmental resource management, and my mother was very concerned that I was not going to have a career. And she is a teacher, and I received certification in agricultural education, only to continue on to study social work, and found myself doing anger management in community gardens in Philadelphia. So actually ended up back in the classroom in a different type of garden setting. So helping kids become involved in education means that we have to have educators that are involved with them, who care about them, who understand that they're worth making the strides for.
Thank you.
Jessica, I have a question for you. What is the most important decision you had to make as a leader? And what is your biggest challenge facing the youth of today?
I'll take the second question first. I think the youth of today are faced with many, many, many options, and there's a lot of doors in which they can enter. But with that comes a lot of barriers. And kids have to know and find out what they like so that they can choose a pathway that they don't mind working within and that they can be successful in. It's a lot easier to go to work if you enjoy what you do. But finding that passion and something that you believe in takes time, and it takes somebody that's involved with you who cares enough about you to find out what that is, to develop that and to extract that.
And your most important decision you made as a leader?
My most important decision as a leader would be to continue fighting when sometimes it's much easier to quit. And if you don't fight, and if the educational institutional system is not set up to make things run smoothly, but if teachers continue to fight and kids understand that teachers are fighting for them, there might be a different platform.
Very, very good.
We have time for one more question, and I want to follow up on a point that Jessica just made. And we've signed an MOU between the Department of Agriculture and the Department of Education, and we really want to increase the impact of 4-H and FFA. Tell us from your perspective, though, what are the challenges that you've had to overcome so as we go forward and try to grow and expand these efforts, we can figure out strategies to overcome the challenges? No challenges? Things are all going well?
Well, I will think that the challenge is true with both groups,
Right.
Whether it's from the administrative point of view or it's from the student point of view. As an administrator of a leadership training center, I need to identify, or we need to identify, we do have an advisory committee, of course. We need to identify what are the barriers, what are the needs of the young people that come to the leadership training center for them to make that next step into becoming leaders. That very same question happens to the student as well, too. The student needs to identify what their needs are, what their barriers are. And then as an administrator, it becomes my job to find ways that we can overcome those barriers, that they can, again, make that step over into leadership. So I think that the greatest challenge that I have is identifying what those needs are and then finding the resources or finding the input to address those needs. And of course, then I think the student also has that very same issue, is what are my needs as an individual, then how do I find the answer to that, in my case, hopefully through the Kentucky FFA Leadership Training Center that will provide those for them.
Yeah.
Our greatest challenge has been identifying quality and committed volunteers. Volunteers that will not only meet the needs of the young people and do the various things that we would require them to do, but to go above and beyond what's expected of them and to be committed to the 4-Hers for extended period of times and long term. We have volunteers that may express interest, but then may not always follow through and continue with the program for years. But we do have wonderful volunteers that have been with us for 4, 5, 6 years.
Sure.
But it's difficult to identify committed volunteers.
Good. Jeff? Andrea, do you have anything to add?
Definitely going to agree with Kia. I mean, volunteers, they're the lifeblood of both organizations, and they're generous people donating their time, and without them, I mean, there's only a couple educators, 4-H educators in each office, and we're just one person. We're champions of change, but without our volunteers, we don't have as great an impact.
Bill, Sam?
One of the challenges that we face is certainly in promoting 4-H and youth development in urban settings, and helping our urban settings to understand how 4-H has been a staple of positive youth development for over a century now, and that many of the families in urban settings migrated from rural settings, and they'll find that their family members and ancestors probably were involved in 4-H at one period of time, but finding ways to meet our urban communities where they are with our programs to introduce them to all the positive youth development opportunities that exist. And sometimes funding can be a barrier in terms of making sure that accessibility is, of all the programs are accessible.
Jessica? Bill? Anybody? Would you like to add anything?
One of the challenges in Philadelphia we experience is the students don't have familial background as far as FFA is concerned. There's not an experience base in an urban setting like you would have in other counties within Pennsylvania. So one of our challenges is getting kids involved in the FFA who don't necessarily know the importance or the feelings behind it.
Yeah, I would say very similar. FFA continues to be the future farmers of America. Even on the screen when I walked in, even though in 1988 it was changed to the National FFA organization. And since we have like the third generation away from the farm, most FFA programs, of course, are, as most of us know in the room, are geared towards servicing farmers. Being in the service industry, it seems like to me the challenge is that even though there's 20%, almost 20% of all jobs in America are agricultural, that it's hard to get that message to the students who are living in town that don't see a need or a value in agriculture. So it continues to be something I think we all have to work hard at to make sure people understand the value of agriculture and education and how they join together. So it's still always a challenge.
All right. As we wrap up today, I want to thank all of you for your participation, and you are truly champions of change. There's a saying that too much is given, much is required, and you have given a lot. You've given back, and you made a difference. There's another saying that whatever one touches, his aim should always be to leave that which he touches better than he found it. So I want to thank you for coming. I want to thank you for touching. I want to thank you for changing, because you have truly made this world a better place than you found it. Thank you very much.
Congratulations.